Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Julius Caesar at the moment, and today we get a monster monologue from Cassius. Cassius and Brutus are two Roman noblemen who have sort of hung back while the rest of the city goes off to these fun races that are being run in celebration of the fact that Caesar has come back in triumph from the wars over Pompey. And Cassius is sort of buttering up Brutus, and Brutus, by his own admission, has been feeling a bit out of sorts of late, and he hasn't been as nice to his friends as he might. And yesterday we had Cassius saying to Brutus, like, I wish that you could see yourself the way that I see you and all these other people see you, because everybody thinks that you're just awesome. And then this huge shout goes up from the crowd in the distance, and Brutus is like, I fear that they're giving him more titles or something like that. And Cassius is like, why do you fear that? And Brutus is like, well, I would rather live honorably than die with a bajillion titles to my name. And Cassius says, I know that virtue to be in you, Brutus, as well as I do know your outward favor. Well, honor is the subject of my story. I cannot tell what you and other men think of this life, but for my single self, I had as lief not be as live to be in awe of such a thing as I myself. I was born free as Caesar, so were you. We both have fed as well, and we can both endure the winter's cold as well as he. For once, upon a raw and gusty day, the troubled Tiber chafing with her shores, Caesar said to me, Darest thou, Cassius, now leap in with me into this angry flood and swim to yonder point? Upon the word, accoutred as I was, I plunged in and bade him follow me. So indeed he did. The torrent roared, and we did buffet it with lusty sinews, throwing it aside and stemming it with hearts of controversy. But ere we could arrive the point proposed, Caesar cried, Help me, Cassius, or I sink. I, as Aeneas, our great ancestor, did from the flames of Troy upon his shoulder the old Anchises bear, so from the waves of Tiber did I the tired Caesar. And this man is now become a god, and Cassius is a wretched creature and must bend his body if Caesar carelessly but nod on him. He had a fever when he was in Spain, and when the fit was on him, I did mark how he did shake. 'Tis true, this god did shake. His coward lips did from their color fly, and that same eye, whose bend doth awe the world, did lose his luster. I did hear him groan. Aye, and that tongue of his, that bade the Romans mark him and write his speeches in their books, alas, it cried, Give me some drink, Titinius, as a sick girl. Ye gods, it doth amaze me. A man of such a feeble temper should so get the start of the majestic world and bear the palm alone. And then there's another great big shout in the distance, and then Brutus says, another general shout. I do believe that these applauses are for some new honors that are heaped on Caesar. Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we, petty men, walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Men, at some time, are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Brutus and Caesar, what should be in that Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. Sound them, it doth become the mouth as well. Weigh them, it is as heavy. Conjure with them, Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. Now in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed, that he is grown so great? Age, thou art shamed. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. When went there by an age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than one man? When could they say, till now, that talked of Rome, that her wide walks encompassed but one man? Now is it Rome indeed, and room enough, when there is in it but one only man? Oh, You and I have heard our fathers say there was a Brutus once that would have brooked the eternal devil to keep the state in Rome as easily as a king. And I'm not going to tell you the response because Brutus' response is tomorrow's monologue. But to recap what was said, basically Cassius is not a fan of Caesar. He doesn't understand why Caesar now has all of this power that nobody else does. He doesn't think that Caesar has done anything spectacular. And he brings up these two instances where the two of them were gonna like ford across a raging river. Caesar suggested it, so they both jump in, but then halfway across Caesar needed help, so Cassius like carried him out on his back. And then there was another time when he was sick and, you know, feeble and blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. And Cassius is like, these qualities do not become a leader. This doesn't make any sense. He's this colossus of a man, and we, who were bred the same and fed the same and took, you know, fought the same, all that kind of stuff, we have to bow and scrape and hope that we die nobly or something like that. Like, it doesn't make sense, and he really, really, really doesn't like it. So those of you that know what happens to Julius Caesar, keep in mind here the fervor with which Cassius doesn't like Caesar, because that's going to become very important later. And interesting that Cassius is building up Brutus sort of instead of himself. Anyway, just interesting. And also the line, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Fault in Our Stars" being a lovely book by John Green. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow for more Shakesyear, when we get to find out how Brutus responds to Cassius railing against Caesar. I'll see you then. Mwah.